Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here because we are looking at something absolutely phenomenal. We're going to trace an incredible journey from a millennia-old Hindu myth right down to the actual physical geography of the Indian subcontinent. It's a massive story of love, cosmic rage, and how an ancient belief system maps directly onto the real world. So, how exactly did a grieving god shape an entire continent? Well, that's the central mystery we are unpacking today. We're diving into how a deeply personal, tragic loss in the mythological realm created this vast, interconnected network of secret sites that millions of people literally still journey to today. Let's start right at the beginning with Chapter 1, a cosmic family feud featuring Sati, Shiva, and Daksha. According to Hindu tradition, Sati, who was the daughter of this really powerful king named Daksha, fell deeply in love with and married Shiva. But man, you could not ask for a bigger clash of personalities here. On one side, you have Sati's dad, Daksha. He's a powerful king, strictly devoted to royal customs, rules, and these grand ritual sacrifices. And on the exact opposite end of the spectrum is her new husband, Shiva. He's an unconventional outsider living a strict ascetic lifestyle. He's completely uninterested in royal norms. Because of this fundamental clash, Daksha just never ever accepted their marriage. And this brings us to our inciting incident. One day, King Daksha decides to throw a massive sacrificial ceremony, known as a grand yajna. He invites literally all the gods, all the sages, but he deliberately snubs Shiva and his own daughter, Sati. Now, when Sati hears about this ceremony, she still wants to go. Shiva warns her against it, right? He basically says, don't go where you're so clearly unwelcome. But driven by family ties, Sati makes the fateful decision to show up anyway. That takes us into Chapter 2, the tragic sacrifice and Sati's immolation. This heartbreak unfolds so rapidly into a truly devastating sequence of events. First, you have the initial snub with the invitation. Second, Sati arrives at the palace, and instead of welcoming his daughter, Daksha publicly and viciously insults Shiva in front of all the assembled guests. It's a massive humiliation. Third, Sati is just completely overcome. Unable to bear this insult to her husband, she's consumed by absolute grief and fury. She essentially declares she can no longer inhabit the body born from Daksha. And finally, in this shocking climax, she uses her own yogic power to immolate herself right there in the sacred fire.
Which leads us to Chapter 3, the Dance of Destruction, also known as the Tandava.
As you can imagine, the immediate fallout was brutal. When Shiva learned Sati had died, he was utterly consumed by sorrow and this uncontrollable rage. He didn't just mourn, he retaliated. Shiva actually created a terrifying, fierce warrior named Virabhadra. And Virabhadra descended upon the ceremony, totally destroyed Daksha's yajna, and brutally punished the people responsible for Sati's humiliation. But the destruction didn't just stop there. Shiva lifted Sati's lifeless body and started wandering across the universe in an absolute trance of grief. This wandering became the Tandava, the cosmic dance of destruction. His all-consuming sorrow was so intense, so incredibly powerful, that it literally threatened to unravel the fabric of the entire universe. Think about that. A grief so deep it could end existence. To save all of existence from being completely obliterated, another deity had to step in. The god Vishnu intervened, using his divine weapon, the Sudarshana chakra. He used the chakra to gently cut Sati's body into pieces. This act is what finally freed Shiva from his devastating trance and saved the universe from the Tandava. And that pivots us to Chapter 4, the geography of divine power, where we look at the sacred sites. This is where the story makes a massive jump from the mythological cosmos down to literal Earth. When Vishnu severed Sati's body, those pieces didn't just vanish into thin air. Her body parts, her ornaments, and drops of her blood fell down to the earth below. Now, many texts widely recognize 51 distinct locations where her remains landed. Actually, scratch that. Depending on the tradition you look at, you might hear 52, 64, or even up to 108. But whatever the exact number, the sheer scale of the physical sites created by this one mythological event is just staggering. These locations became known as Shakti Peeths, which translates beautifully to seats of divine power. These are the actual physical sacred sites on Earth that were formed exactly where the pieces of Sati fell. It's this incredible bridge, right? It connects the cosmic story we just talked about directly to real-world geography. And you've got to look at the geographic spread here. These Shakti Peethas aren't just confined to one small local area. They are scattered entirely across the Indian subcontinent. If you look at a map today, you'll find these sacred sites in modern-day India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and the Tibet region of China. It's a vast, international footprint that connects millions of people across modern borders all the way back to this single ancient narrative. What's really fascinating is that the belief system governing these physical temples is super structured. Every single Shakti Peetha follows a strict three-part anatomy. Step 1, it's always associated with a very specific body part or ornament of Sati that fell there. Step 2, it's dedicated to a specific form of the Divine Mother, or Shakti. In Step 3, it always includes a corresponding, specific form of Shiva, known as Bhairava, who actually resides there to guard the site. It is just a wonderfully organized spiritual geography.
Let's bring it into the present with Chapter 5, The Living Legacy and its Modern Spiritual Impact.
To really grasp why this millennia-old story still matters so deeply today, we just need to look at a few of the most famous Shakti Peethas out there. These are tangible, physical places you can go to. For example, you have the Kamakaya Temple, which is deeply powerful and associated specifically with the womb, or yoni, of Sakti. Then there's the Jwalaji Temple, famous for its naturally occurring, literally eternal flames. You've got the Kalikat Kelly Temple, which is a massive pilgrimage hub. The historic Hingla Majmata Temple, located over in present-day Pakistan, and the Kanyakumari Aman Temple, perched all the way down at the very southern tip of India. Every single site has its own completely distinct character, but they are all rooted in that same original cosmic event. But way beyond the physical attributes, these sites hold immense spiritual weight. Ultimately, the Shakti Peethas symbolize the eternal power of the divine feminine. They represent the inseparable union of Shiva and Shakti, the ultimate cosmic forces of consciousness and energy coming together. At their core, they stand as these endearing monuments to devotion, immense sacrifice, and the absolute necessity of maintaining cosmic balance in our universe. And this brings us right back to the human experience. Why do millions of pilgrims still travel across continents just to visit these exact spots? Well, tradition holds that visiting these specific temples brings genuine spiritual strength, divine blessings, and ultimately liberation from suffering. These pilgrims are quite literally walking straight into a myth to find real-world peace. So a story that starts with a family argument escalates into the near destruction of the universe, and then finally resolves into this sacred map of divine power spread all across the earth. What does this ancient story of love, destruction, and creation tell us about our own search for cosmic balance? It's a fascinating reflection on how our deepest griefs and our greatest devotions can leave a very real, lasting mark on the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through our explainer today, and keep exploring.